Here we are. Hope everybody can hear us loud and clear. We're going to start up in about 2 minutes.
Take my sunglasses
This
off.
is John. If you can hear us okay, just let us know in the chat box. I got to move John over a little bit. There we are.
I had already lost my vision.
How's that? A little better?
You are in there now.
I know. And after riding that light, just
There we go.
they were bricks. I mean, it was
So,
bricks
have you
out
hold
there.
that. All right, dear, we're getting ready to roll here.
All right. Yeah, I need a hat. I should have brought a hat.
We got 1 minute. We're going to start it up in 1 minute.
Well, good luck to you. I'm sorry, Diane, your comedian.
I know,
Yeah,
right?
You have a standard lineup now already?
Yeah,
That's
she's
my husband's
funny.
line.
She's
I know
so
that.
funny.
I hear that all the time. I have a face for radio.
30 seconds, everybody. 30 seconds.
Here, look what happened.
I try and give her a script to follow, and this is what she does with it.
Are you guys, you're starting over there?
Yeah. Swing it around.
I mean, no offense. So don't cut to me.
Here's Jean. Here, move them over a little bit. Hey, Karen, can you hear us okay? We're getting ready to start it up. Let us know if you can hear us okay. We got an extra mic.
Which way?
How's the sound? All right, you ready, John?
I'm absolutely ready.
3, 2, 1. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 3 of Beach Talk Radio. My name is Ed Ryan. I'm the host. This is Kim Ryan. She's the co-host. She'll be on shortly. We are live from Fort Myers Beach, and our main goal when we're down here is to promote Fort Myers Beach because we love it. There's a lot of great stuff to do. It's a wonderful place to come down any day, right, Gene? Every day.
Any day, every day.
Every day.
365 days a year.
All right.
Here you go.
And we like to start off the show every week with a special guest, and we have a super special guest to start off the show this week, John Guciardo. And John is a consultant to the Margaritaville resort that will be coming in soon. And John, first off, tell us how long you've lived here and some of your background as far as Fort Myers Beach goes.
Sure. I'm not sure who entirely your listening audience is, so if I'm repeating myself to some people, I apologize. But some people know me. My wife and I have lived here on the beach since about 1984. When the beach first incorporated, I was the first deputy town manager, and I served as the deputy town manager from about 1995 to 2005. In 2005, I moved over to the city of Bonita Springs, where I was the assistant city manager for about 10 years. And I retired in 2016 from Bonita Springs, and I was able to then join up with Tom Torgerson and his team to see if we can't bring the TPI project to fruition. So that's what I've been doing for about the last 2.5 years, and it's culminated in what we all now know as the Margaritaville Resort.
So what is it about Fort Myers Beach that keeps you here?
It's interesting. I love Fort Myers Beach, kind of like what Gene said, any day, every day. Fort Myers Beach is as close to I've ever seen in the state of Florida to a neighborhood. We live here. We all know each other. We all shop in the same places. We bump into each other. You don't get that feeling in many parts of Florida, and it's something that I don't think I could duplicate anywhere else. So that's why we've been here for as long as we have and can't see leaving.
Well, the reason we come down is because we fell in love with Gene and the service that we get here. The ladies that wait on us are super nice, and anywhere you go, you're going to get that kind of service down here. So you're right. It's like a little small community.
It is a neighborhood.
Great. So how did you hook up with Mr. Torgerson? How did that happen?
Well, actually, it was kind of along those lines in that theme of neighborhood. When I was free from my obligations at Bonita Springs, it kind of made me a bit of a free agent. I knew that Tom and his team had brought forth the original design for the Grand Resorts project, and that was frankly not well received. It was probably a little bit too ambitious for this island. But I also knew that having the investment in the land, that he was going to try to do something. I reached out to him. I actually made the first contact with him to see if he was interested in reaching out to the community to find out what might actually fit here and get community support. He was all for that. That's what they wanted to do. So we kind of joined forces at that point, and I became his outreach person. Tom allowed me to take he and his team from the tip of the island on the north end, from the pink shell people, all the way down to the folks down at Lover's Key. And we went door to door, frankly, and talked to as many people as we could. We put together focus groups. Some of the focus groups, by the way, were folks who were the most ardent opposition to his first plan. But we thought, what better than to get them involved and find out what their input is, what they could live with. And I think that the results showed, because when we finally did bring this latest version to the town council, we estimate that there was probably an 85 to 80% approval rating by the community in favor of this project.
When did the project first start?
Well, again, Tom's been at this for about three and a half years. I've been involved in the process for about a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
And it took us that long before we could get it in front of the town council. We got it in front of the LPA for review in February, and then it went to the town council in April, and then again in May for their final approval. And I'm really proud of the fact that Tom and his team were able to put together a project that got unanimous approval from this town council at both of the hearings.
Now, for those people that don't know, the resort will eventually be built on a part of the island that was really hit hard. Talk about the history of what happened over there.
Yeah, for those of us who lived through Hurricane Charlie, we know that that's really a turning point on this island. Hurricane Charlie did not only physical damage, but emotional damage, I think, to a lot of us here. It took a long time for the island to bounce back. Unfortunately, then after the hurricane, we went through the recession. After the recession, unfortunately, we also had the incident with the BP oil spill. So it's kind of like our little neighborhood has gotten wave after wave of a little bad luck. We're hoping that this project can kind of turn that trend around and maybe point things on an upward scale. The island itself and the area where the project is going to go in, for those who don't understand or don't remember it, Crescent Beach Park, which is across the street from where our project's going to be, used to be populated with hotels before Hurricane Charlie. We lost 3 hotels there with about 160 hotel rooms that'll never come back.
Is that where the volleyball
exactly, where the
okay.
volleyball courts are now. And on the beach side, rather, again, some of those properties will never come back to their original uses. On the back bay or north side, where Helmer Plaza is now, a lot of those businesses also have never recovered. There was the Seafarers Mall project, which came and went, and that's sitting vacant right now. So again, we have an island that has its main commercial district really been impacted severely ever since Hurricane Charlie. We're hoping again that this project can kind of be the stimulus to get that part of the island back up on its feet.
And what year again was Hurricane Charlie?
That was 2004. Actually, it was August the 13th, 2004, Friday the 13th. Friday the 13th, you got it, Gene. We just passed our anniversary.
So the buildings over there now are some of them are empty, but some of them are not empty, correct? So some of them are going to close or are going to be moved. Can you kind of give us an idea? There's a pizza place over there. There's some other businesses. What's going to happen to all those?
When we talk about the Gulf side, because again, remember, this project is going to be both on the Gulf side and on the Back Bay side, with the main resort project being on the Back Bay side. But the uses on the Gulf side will replace some of the things that people are familiar with now. Salty Crab, for example, is going to stay. They're there. They'll be operating just as they are now. But everything going then east of Salty Crab, so you have the Pierside Hotel down to about the Mermaid, you're going to see some dramatic differences there. Most of those buildings are going to be coming down. We're still hoping that a private developer might move the Mermaid. At least that's his plan. We're going to let him do that. We're encouraging that if he can do it. The Cigar Hut building, the little yellow one, most of us used to refer to that as the cotton shop. We're planning on keeping that, though, because we really like it. We think it fits our motif, and it has some historical significance. So we're incorporating that into the new plan. So you're going to see a mixture of some of the buildings coming down, some being repurposed, and some moving.
Awesome. So when you look at the drawing of the resort and try and picture what it's going to look like when you come over that bridge, it's hard to. It looks so different than what it does now. So what is the resort going to going to look like, what it's going to have in there. You know, how many stories is it? How many floors is it?
You're right. The resort itself will look dramatically different than what there is now, although, of course, what's there now is been pretty run down over time. In terms of the view from the bridge, because that was a main concern of a lot of people, actually, we've shown some depictions, and we're very comfortable that the view from the bridge is going to be impacted very little. The overall height itself of the resort on the back bay side is within a couple of feet of what's there now at the Lighthouse Resort. There are a couple of other buildings that people are used to seeing as they scan the horizon when they come over. You got the Edison House on one side, you've got the Lani Kai down on the other side. We're actually significantly lower than those buildings.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot bigger than the Pierview Hotel, which is there right now. So in terms of the view of the Gulf, we expect very little difference. But in terms of the aesthetics and the view of the structures that are going to be on the back bay side, I think you'll see a very dramatic and very positive influence. We've gone away from what was referred to as the South Beach look, and it's much more Key West in nature.
Yeah.
And we really think it blends in.
Perfect.
In terms of the height, it's actually, again, as I said, very little difference between what we're going to be building and what's there at the Lighthouse Resort. If you think about all the private homes that are going up now, because of the flood elevations, they have to start at about 17 feet above ground level before you even start your home.
Right.
So it's actually going to be within about right now.
So inside the resort, is Jimmy Buffett just going to be sitting in the lobby, playing his guitar, greeting people? I mean, he's got to be. I do wish that that's the case.
We can't speak for Jimmy Buffett at this point. I can tell you that he has taken a personal involvement in some of the resort openings. The Margaritaville Jimmy Buffett empire, if you will, is very vast right now. They have different kinds of projects in different areas. We're hoping that we stand out as one of their gems, one of their crown jewels when we actually have this resort up and running. So we hope that Jimmy will take an actual personal involvement in it. Of course, we can't commit to that. Now, what it will have, though, is the Margaritaville and Jimmy Buffett repeating themes throughout. So there'll be a 5 o'clock somewhere. There'll be a land shark. I mean, so some of those themes that you're seeing in other places will be repeated through the entire resort on the back bay side and on the Gulf side, especially with the water park on the Gulf side.
And you're gonna build an overpass for people to walk from the one side to the beach for safety reasons, and it looks really cool in the drawing.
Right. We had originally proposed multiple overpasses. The town council limited us to the one, and it'll be, if you think about where Crescent and Estero intersection is, it'll be about there. We're hoping that the general public takes advantage of that. It'll be ADA accessible. It'll be fully accessible to the public. But even if the general public doesn't, for whatever reason, we'll at least know that all of the hotel resort guests, because they're already on the second floor. If you think about the fact that the resort is built over parking, they're already at that level. So it's a natural flow for them to use that, go across to the buildings on the other side and to all the amenities on the Gulf side, which means that 1,000 people a day won't be conflicting with the traffic conflicts that we have right now, which we think is a positive. We've also designed it so that the project eliminates about 8 of the driveways that are there now on Estero Boulevard, which again we think is going to reduce some of those conflicts that you're seeing right now with traffic trying to access Estero Boulevard.
I watched some of the council meetings on the internet. That when this project kept coming up, and I know you can't get into the politics of the whole thing. You have to be politically correct and all that. But I tell you, those people sometimes I just wanted to strangle them through the screen about you came to this beach with such an awesome project. And I just watched Mr. Torgerson and you guys. Every time they asked for something, you gave them. It just seemed like they were asking. You kept saying yes and yes. Like you donate the building that has the Chamber of Commerce in it to the town, so that when you come over the bridge, it's going to be. I think it's going to be like a nice little park area or something It's not going to look like it is now, which is a
Right.
complete eyesore. Nothing against the chamber people, but that building is crap.
Right. Ultimately, what happens with that piece of property is going to depend on what the town council wants to do. But you're right; it'll look significantly better than it does right now. But I think that's just an example of the attitude that Tom and his team had towards this project. Again, they're here for the long haul. They're owner-operators. They aren't going anywhere. Tom lives here on the island now also. And they really did try to go out of their way to do what made sense, not only from them, from a business point of view, because it has to make sense from a business point of view, but also what makes sense from the community's point of view. The biggest, most startling example of that is if you look at the overall project design, what would have made the most sense for all the lenders involved and finance people and people that are just interested in squeezing the most money out of this project, what would have made sense was to put the bulk of the hotel and resort on the Gulf side. That's where you have the value.
Right.
But at the same time, that's the thing we heard from people that they didn't want. They didn't want a canyon effect. They didn't want buildings on both sides of the streets with their view of the Gulf blocked. Tom and his team made that very critical and difficult decision to say, you know what, we can do that. We can keep the beach open for you and move the project back on the other side. Frankly, that was part of the justification for a little additional density. The idea being that we're giving up value in those units on the Gulf side, so give us a couple more units on the Bay side. And the community got it. They understood the logic and they understood the benefits of keeping the Gulf side open. So again, from my point of view as a resident, that to me is the true sign of somebody who's trying to do the right thing, not only for himself from a business point of view, but for the community in general.
Now, John, would you say community support? Do you have a number that you have? You think it's 80%? You think it's 90% of the people that live? Do you know what the percentage?
Sounds like the sheriff is going over. I mean, I can't give you exact numbers. But again, based on the responses we got from the Facebook page, from all of our media outreach, from the requests that we had for signs, people were pretty familiar with the signs that we had all up and down the island. I can tell you 90% of those signs, we did not reach out to them. They reached out to us and said, can I get one?
So before I ask you about the timetable, I don't know if everybody knows. If they read the news or watch local news, they understand and probably know what's going on. Somebody filed a lawsuit against the town at the last minute. A resident with backing from a lawyer from a local business filed a lawsuit to try and claim that the town didn't follow proper procedure to pass this. Correct? Is that what's going on now?
Yeah. At the last minute, we did get notice that 2 actual claims were filed against the town from the same person. So it's one individual, a property owner on Primo. I don't want to personally connect the dots between that person and any other local business owner or their attorneys. I understand that those are dots that are being connected by other people, but that's not my role. What I can tell you is that all of the objections we have heard to our project are based in one thing, and that is the lack of desire for and fear of change. The particular instances, or the particular examples, things like worried about height. The truth is that when the homes that are able to be permitted and built on Crescent Street are built, the people on Primo won't even see the resort because of the height of the individual buildings. So, you can nitpick all of the particular items in those complaints. But again, my general impression that it all stems from a fear of and lack of desire for change. It's interesting because I've been here for so long. I know that those same arguments were raised when Publix was proposed to come to the island, that Publix was going to be the end of our island as we knew it, that the movie theater was going to be the end of our island as we knew it. Before that, we used to access the island by a swing bridge, and the arguments against the swing bridge was that the main sky bridge was going to ruin our island forever. And I don't know anybody right now who would want to go back to the swing bridge. The idea, I don't
even know what it is.
It's weird. The point being, though, that while change is difficult for some people, most people realize that change is not only inevitable, but if it's done correctly, it's a positive thing. And I have to believe that the town did this correctly. They went way out of their way. They brought in a consultant, Bill Spikowski, who was the author of our comprehensive plan. And ultimately, we got to a point where Bill was not only enthusiastic, but he endorsed the project that we're going with. And we hope that that's reflected in the decisions that finally come down about these complaints.
So, I mean, I obviously can't hold you to this, but you've seen the objections and you went through the entire process. Do you think it's still okay?
Yeah, I don't see that these objections have any merit at all. What they will do, unfortunately, is probably delay the project because we have to go through the procedures to have them recognized by the courts, addressed, and then hopefully resolved positively, and that takes time. So whereas we were hoping to start the demolition process and then the construction process towards the end of this year and the beginning of next year, the truth is that may be put back for about 6 months and put the whole project timeline about 6 months. Now, that's not definite. We still have not sat and talked with the town and the town attorneys about that timeline because, again, officially, Margaritaville is not a party to this lawsuit. It's against the town, so we want to work with them.
Could you proceed without worry if you wanted to? I know you wouldn't do that, but you could. You got approval.
No, unfortunately, the fact that these suits were filed probably means that, and again, I don't want to speak for the town. They can do that obviously very well themselves, but our guess is that they will not want to proceed with things like a transfer of ownership of some of the land unless and until these issues are resolved. And again, we have great confidence that they will be resolved, but it does.
So let's say
time.
there is a delay, 6 months. When is that? One of the doors going to open, and Jimmy's going to be sitting in the lobby swinging his guitar.
Everybody can be down there for their first margaritas. We're hoping around 2021, maybe before the season of 2021.
Hope I live that long.
Does take about 2 years, start to finish from the permits and final.
But does that also mean everything will be done?
Yeah, that's our hope. And let me also add this, for those people who haven't been following it too closely, there's actually a third component. We talked about the two components here on the beach, the Gulf side and the Back Bay side, parts, characteristics of the resort, but there's a third aspect, and that is an off-island piece. Part of our conversations with people, a lot of the businesses, a lot of our resort partners that are here that have now reached out to us and been involved in conversations with us, a lot of the recurring theme we had was that because of land prices and values here on the beach and near the beach, it's really difficult to get service workers good, affordable, clean, efficient housing. We're going to try to address that to a certain extent. So the Torgerson and his team have purchased land off island. If you think about where the 7-Eleven is at Pine Ridge Road in San Carlos, they bought about 15 acres around that. And the permitting process, design process that we're going through right now, if we're successful, we'll have housing for almost 400 units for what we're calling attainable housing. And it'll be directed specifically and almost exclusively towards people who work in the service industry. We'll be able to move our people that are living there back and forth through our own transportation, keep cars off the road.
How many jobs are you creating? How many jobs are you creating?
Probably about 300 altogether.
Well, let's put a delay on that because we want people having jobs too.
Well, we want to see that piece of the project go forward. It's off island, but it's really integral to how this whole thing can work, and I think it'll be seen as a great benefit to the area.
So my last question is, and I know I kept you longer than I planned,
I tend to talk.
That's all right. It's great stuff. It's great stuff. Is there any? I know you got some pull. Is there any chance you can build like a little DJ booth and we can? Everybody's asking you for stuff, and he keeps giving stuff away, and we could do the show from there and. Nothing but DJ booth. Beach Talk Radio and Radio Margaritaville.
You know what? I
bring it up with Torres.
You know what? You're not shy, and I don't blame you for that. Let me tell you this though. Since we've gone through the approval process, we have been approached by a number of people on the beach who have some really interesting ideas about other amenities that we can build into the project. The design itself, in terms of the footprint of the building here on the beach, is pretty much set in stone, but the interior space still has some flexibility. You know what? I can't make any promises, obviously, but hey, we'll add that to the list.
All right, awesome. Well, John, thanks so much for coming in. We appreciate it very much, and good luck. We hope it opens sooner than that, and everything's been going great.
I live here on the beach. So I'm always available. If you want more updates, just let me know.
All right, I will.
You got it.
All right, John, have a great weekend. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
That was John Guciardo. He is a consultant to the Margaritaville Resort, and you folks have a complete update of what's going on And there's the co-host, really the important co-host there. And she gets the microphone now. We have a new feature. She's going to take over, and she's going to share with everybody some events that are coming up. This is her one shining moment to be all alone without me. Don't shut the microphone off like you did last week.
How long can we extend this time alone? Hi, everybody. I want to go over some of the events that are coming up. Let's see. Right here on Fort Myers Beach, November 1st through the 3rd is the 9th annual Paint the Beach event. This event is a plein air art festival, and it's sponsored by the Fort Myers Beach Art Association. There will be up to 60 artists who
I'll draw out my
must paint
idea.
within the Fort Myers Beach and Lovers Key State Park area. The artists will compete for over $5,000 in cash, something I will not be able to do because I have absolutely no talent whatsoever. That's artistic.
We're not supposed to be commentating on it. You're supposed
Yes,
to
I
just
am.
read it.
No, I'm not supposed to read it. It's too boring. First place is $1,000. Second place would be $750, and third would be $500. So everybody, come on out, register as soon as you can. Start your paintings.
You know what plein air painting is?
I was going to ask you that, dear. What is it? What did you say?
Plein air.
No, it's plein air. Do you know where it's from? Where that term is even from?
Don't know where it's from.
The origin, you don't know.
I don't.
France.
Wow. How did you know that?
Mid-19th century.
Where, did you look that up last night? You were on Google
No,
last
I
night. I
took
wonder if you
French
get
in
any sleep.
school, so I know.
Miami Beach.
Mid-19th century impressionist, and it means in air. So the paintings must be done outdoors to
Things like
depict the natural light
we're hoping that this actually feeds
something inside. So everybody's got to be outside.
John,
As I said,
you
there have to
know,
be somewhere
I remember
between
when they
Fort Myers
were
Beach and
talking
Lovers
about making this a
Key
street.
State Park. All the little things are
John was
popping
not
up.
too happy about
People
it.
giving thumbs up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let's
Let's see,
I sit up
November
there on the railing
16th
there,
through the
and that's when the
25th
trucks would come
is
around.
going to
and gas
be
you.
woohoo, the American Sand Sculpting
Yes,
Championship.
exactly.
Another thing I will not be
Exactly
doing
right.
because I have no skills in
I've been
sculpting
here
either.
too long.
But last year's event featured 16 sculptors from 3 continents.
Doing
We're not
great,
even going to
Kim.
have a
Doing great.
discussion about continents versus
No, not
countries
tonight.
because you don't
Not
know
today.
that. This year's championship promises to be even more exciting, so you should come on down, check that out. It's amazing. We've come down 1 or 2 times before.
For what?
Oh, maybe
Sand
that
sculpting?
wasn't you. Never mind. That was somebody else.
What does that mean?
Amazing. It was fantastic. This
What did you
event
say?
this year is going to be 10 days long. There's all sorts of divisions, so everybody can get on in it. Amateurs on up to masters. Do you think that would be
How much
something
longer
you
is
could
this going to
do?
go on? Come on. How many are you reading?
That's
Is
it.
he reading 2 or 3?
That's all of November. The rest are in December. We'll save those for next
Next week
so you
we'll
have
read those.
plenty
So-
of time.
So we were supposed to have a special feature today called Townie Trivia, and our 2 townies had decided that they didn't want to be on, so we have to save that for another time. We had some great questions. By the way, let me see if I can get you. Maybe Gene knows some of the answers to these questions.
Gene knows a lot.
I doubt it.
No, it's
Maybe-
all about Fort Myers
Gene,
Beach.
maybe you
You
can
got
answer
it.
them in Korean.
You ever say, honey, hashimika?
What does that mean? He says the same thing every week in Korean. I think that's
How
all
are
he
you?
knows. All righty. So, yeah, let's see if we can get Gene on there. Oh, we're going to lose a whole thing. There we are. All right. So, we're going to save the Townie Trivia to next week, and we're kind of running out of time anyway. So, we need to just bring up the conversation that we had from last night because it got heated. And actually, last night would have been the best time for us to have our recorder going because the conversation almost came to fisticuffs last night.
Which one? Because there was plenty.
No, there were.
Yes.
No, there was the one in the restaurant. We went to it, by the way. We went to a restaurant. I don't really like to leave the house much. But we went to a restaurant last night at Bonita, and the minute we walked in, some guy is screaming on a microphone. What was that guy doing?
He was providing entertainment by serenading everybody.
It sounded to me like he was screaming in a foreign language. What was it?
I believe he was singing in Italian. It was an Italian restaurant.
By the way,
Mamma
it was a
mia.
great meal. How much was the steak?
Oh yeah, so I wanted to order this steak.
$1.298.
No,
Not even close.
Gene.
It was
Not
a
even
40-ounce ribeye
How much you guys
steak.
think a 40-ounce ribeye costs? Take a guess. $95.
Oh,
96 to
So
be
she
correct.
ordered it.
Oh,
She ordered
it's
it.
her birthday.
That's right. I ordered it, but I quickly
Birthday.
changed my mind.
She's cheap. She shops at the Goodwill. I knew it was a joke. There's no way she's ordering that. But that wasn't what we were fighting over.
No.
So last night, folks, and this is something that we always fight over, and we would love to get some feedback on this, even from Gene.
We'll
We
get to it.
think that you think that radio's dying, and my daughter thinks that radio's dead because she's 21. Now she watches YouTube and listens to stuff on YouTube, and I have never met anybody that watches and listens to things on YouTube. Gene, what do you watch on YouTube?
I don't think I know what YouTube is.
Exactly.
And I
So
don't care.
You won't care 100 years from now either.
the reason you haven't met people that are viewing YouTube is because you never leave the house.
No, I talk to people all
I'm
the
right
time.
here. I'm out of my house.
You're
right
out of the
now.
house. This is true.
So we had this big argument about how I don't believe radio's dying. And the reason because radio is not dying is because you get into your car, you slide into your 78 Cadillac or whatever you're driving, and the radio's right there. It's easy to turn on, it's easy to turn off.
Most
think that was
people
number
are
4.
using their phones to listen and stream audio content, whether it be YouTube, which is video, so don't do that in your car. But there are many audio.
Nobody's getting in their car and sliding an
I am.
aux cord into their car.
I do it
They
every
can
day.
listen to the radio.
They can do it through
To listen to
Bluetooth.
what? What are you
I
listening
listen
to?
to. I have an
Bluetooth.
I have an app called Pep Talk, and I listen to that. It's got motivational.
You need
15,
motivation
20
for what? What do you need
Start my
motivation?
day off right because I'm living with you. I need motivation to get through the rest of my life.
Oh my God.
Oh, my.
So you plug in an aux cord,
Well, I have to because I have an older car and my Bluetooth doesn't work.
but you don't listen to the radio. Gene, you listen to
No.
the radio, right?
No.
You don't
There
listen
you
to, oh,
go.
Gene, you heard
I
me, man.
haven't.
You heard
I'm
me.
in a car, but I don't know what's going on. It's just for noise.
Don't you listen to 94.5 The Arrow?
That's on TV.
Alrighty.
Well, no, it's not. It's the radio.
All right.
But
You're not a radio listener.
I'm
Well,
not
you're outside the
really
demo
a radio
anyway, Gene.
listener.
He's outside the
Absolutely not.
So the argument was that when people that are watching YouTube or listening to YouTube now turn 30, I think they're going to turn to the radio. They're not going to watch YouTube. Nobody's going to
Yes.
watch YouTube
Yes.
all their life.
As these younger people get older, they're going to regress and pick up an old
What do you mean
medium.
regress? It's 93% of the country, according to Nielsen, listens to radio every week.
Right now,
Okay.
some of them don't have a choice. They're held hostage.
Know why they're
The
held
hedgehog.
hostage?
They're held hostage in their cars to listening to the radio if they don't have a way to access audio
Maybe
content
they like the
they would.
radio.
Yeah,
Maybe
right.
they like listening.
They
to
like 17
Radio.
minutes of commercials.
All right, that's right. Well, I can't argue with that. 17 minutes of commercials an hour is what's killing radio. If it dies, that'll be the reason why. So this went on for quite a long time. I think it ruined the dinner.
It didn't ruin the dinner.
Oh, it didn't ruin the dinner. The dinner was fabulous, by the way. It was DeVito's. Is that what it was?
I think you're killing the name, but
It was DeVito's,
close.
right? Danny DeVito's?
No,
Oh, DeVito's?
please.
It was delicious. And they didn't pay me to say that, by the way. So-
You get no kickbacks on that one.
What else you want to talk about before we have to call it a wrap? We're 33 minutes in. We're already 3 minutes into the no charge for the extra 3 minutes, people. We're just happy to share our life
Yes,
with you because
he's
it's so
happy
exciting.
to share everything and
Oh.
spend all of our money, so he doesn't care.
So listen,
Here's
here's what I was.
You're
You're not leaving, are
Yeah,
you?
they all know.
You're not leaving yet, are you, Gene?
Well, I got a
So,
whole
folks,
beer.
I know what you're all thinking out there as it gets louder and louder here at Pete's. You're all thinking you want to start a cool show like this, right? You all want to have a podcast like this and a Facebook live video show like we do because it's so much fun. So here's all you need to do. You get yourself a nice microphone like this, like that. See that cool
Get
microphone?
a hedgehog like this.
$200 microphone. You get yourself
See, this is the problem.
cool business cards.
I come home every day from work, working hard. He's at home
cool
doing
business
something.
cards. Look at that.
And the
Talk radio cards.
Amazon packages just never stop
$40.
coming. Yes, and how much
The
money?
Facebook page was
How
free.
much money have you earned? How much revenue have you
gotta
generated from
You gotta
this?
get a few shows in the can before you start selling.
Oh, they're in the
advertising.
can.
I've had
They
advertisers
are
come
in
up
the
to me.
can.
I have had people come up to me saying, "How can I advertise on your show?" I have to say, "Wait. I need a few more shows in the can before I put a rate card together and get it printed off."
Be careful.
Take it to the
Lightning
printer.
can reach very far, especially when you're
All
live.
right, I think it's time to call it a wrap, dear.
All right, everybody.
See you next week. Thanks for
Sayonara.
joining us, Gene. You got to get you on there to say goodbye. Say goodbye to everybody, Gene.
Sayonara, that's goodbye in anybody's language.
How do you say it in Korean?
Oh, see you on the rebound.
All right. I didn't know that was Korean. Thank you, everybody. Have a nice weekend.